Hello guys, welcome back to another Genshin Impact beginner guide, and this video will guide you about elemental reaction in Genshin Impact. And the elemental reaction is the most important feature because this is how you deal your damage in Genshin Impact. By combining different elements together, you will create different elemental reaction. So understanding elemental reaction may help you to improve your overall gameplay. And before we start to talk about reaction, we will talk about the mastery first. For elemental mastery, this is a stat that will affect your elemental reaction damage output. The higher the elemental mastery, the higher the reaction damage. So elemental mastery would not improve your normal attack, but it will only improve your reaction damage. And the reaction damage can be improved by your character stat of attack, elemental bonus damage, and elemental mastery, and also crit damage. However, there are only two reactions can score a crit damage, which are melt and vaporize. All the other reaction cannot score a critical damage, so this is the reason why melt and vaporize reaction is so strong, and they can deal a nuclear damage in Genshin Impact. And please note that Anemo, Geo, and Dendro does not have any reaction between them. So for example, Anemo cannot trigger any reaction with Geo and Dendro. Geo cannot trigger any reaction with Anemo and Dendro cannot trigger any reaction with Anemo and Geo. So after this, let's see how all this chemistry reaction works in Genshin Impact. First is melt reaction. This reaction is the combination of pyro and cryo element. The sequence is important as well because different sequence may lead to different damage output. So for example, if you use a pyro to trigger melt reaction on a cryo element, you will deal 2 times the damage on the enemy. On the other hand, if you use cryo to trigger a melt reaction on a pyro element, you will only deal 1.5 of the damage to the enemy. Okay, so you can see without melt reaction, my damage is only 165. So in here, I try to apply another cryo element on the ring guard first, and then okay, wait, you can see the melt damage over there. Once you hit, you can see 331. So you can see from the clip, you can see the melt damage is 2 times higher than the damage without elemental reaction. Okay, now here is another clip. So you can see from this clip, I use Diona and my Diona deal 450 cryo damage to the ring guard, and then I use Bennett to reapply the pyro, and then I use cryo damage on it again, and it's still 675. So this is basically the melt damage. So this is basically how the melt reaction works, and if you want to deal higher damage, follow the sequence cryo first and then pyro next. The second reaction is vaporize, same as melt reaction but different element combination. The combination of this reaction are hydro and pyro element. Same as melt, the sequence are important. If you use a hydro to trigger melt reaction on a pyro element, you will deal 2 times the damage on the enemy, otherwise it will only deal 1.5 times the damage on the enemy. Okay, so from here you can see my Mona normal hit dealing 233 damage, hydro damage, and then you can see I use Klee to reapply fire element on it again, and then I use Mona to hit a vaporize. You can see it's become 466, so it's multiplied by 2 of your damage. Okay, so here is another sequence. Hydro first and then Pyro, and you can see my Klee is dealing 283 damage on the ring guard, and then I switch out to Mona again to reapply the Hydro to test the vaporize damage on Klee. Okay, you can see, okay, I reapply the Hydro damage already, and then I hit, you can see 424. It's 1.5 damage multiplier. The third reaction is Frozen. This combination is a bit different from those previous reaction because this reaction is basically a control reaction. Utilize Frozen reaction can help you a lot in controlling your enemies. So this is very easy to do. All you need to do is combo your Hydro element character with a Cryo elemental character. So by utilizing Frozen elemental reaction, you can easily control your enemies on the field. However, please note that if the Cryo or Hydro element above the target health bar is blinking, their frozen duration will greatly decrease. So please time it nicely to fully utilize the frozen reaction. Okay, take the clip as an example. Try to avoid this kind of issue when you are using frozen reaction. And there is a reaction called shatter. This is also included in frozen because this shatter reaction is when a monster is under a frozen effect and you hit them with a geo element or claymore, the shatter reaction will occur and this reaction cannot score a crit damage. The fourth reaction is swirl. Swirl is another reaction that cannot score a critical damage, and swirl is the combination of any element with animal, which means animal can trigger swirl reaction with pyro, hydro, cryo, and electro. So and then please note that you must apply the element on enemy first before you use animal to trigger swirl reaction. So basically swirl reaction is a extra damage for the element that you swirl. So for example, if you use animal and pyro together, you will gain extra damage on pyro with swirl effect. So when you use animal to trigger an element, you will get extra damage for that element. Yeah, so this is basically how swirl reaction works. The fifth reaction is crystallize. This reaction is the combination of geo element with any of the element like pyro, hydro, cryo, and electro. And this reaction does not deal any damage but provide a shield for your character that is able to absorb certain amount of damage from enemies. The higher the elemental mastery, the stronger the shield strength, and this shield can reduce interruption when hit by enemies but cannot protect you from frozen. So you can see from the clip, there is a crystal drop from the monster that is called crystallized reaction. Same as swirl, you have to use the elemental first before you use geo damage to hit to generate crystal from crystallized reaction. So for example, if your crystallized reaction is pyro crystal, it will give you a pyro shield. And this shield can actually absorb any damage coming from enemies even though they say it's a pyro shield. Yeah, the shield can absorb any damage. If you can utilize this shield wisely, you can survive in Spiral Abyss very easily. The last one is electro-related reaction, which are overload, electrocharge, and superconduct. These reactions cannot score a crit damage, and the sequence on element is not important, but the sequence on character is important because the reaction damage is taking the attack, elemental mastery, and elemental bonus of the character that trigger that reaction. Okay, so you can see I apply the electro first and then I use pyro to hit. I deal an overloaded damage. Then I apply the pyro first and then I use electronics. I will also hit a overload damage. So overload, this is basically how overload works. And then the next one I want to show is electrocharge. This is basically how it's work. You can hit with electro first and then use your hydro next, or you can use your hydro first and then use your electro next. And electro charge can affect the nearby enemies as well. So if there is enemies nearby, the electro charge will chain to other enemies. So the next one is superconduct. Superconduct deal a very low damage, but it can decrease the enemy's physical resistance. You can see the arrow down there is a physical resistance reduced status. It reduced 50% of enemy physical resistance. So make use of them. Your physical character can deal a very high physical damage. So if you combo with Keqing or Razor, it will be very good. And this superconduct is different from others because every time you hit the superconduct reaction, it will be the cryo element as the damage output. So you can see if I use the Fisher charge attack over here, the slime will immune the superconduct damage. Yeah, you can see there they immune the superconduct damage. So this is why when Keqing always hit an immune damage for cryo slime. Yeah, and this is not a big matter, just a meme in Genshin Impact, and I hope they change it one day. So that's it for this video. I hope you will find this video informative in understanding more about elemental reaction and elemental mastery. If this helped you in your Genshin Impact beginner journey, please give this video a like and share it to your friend. If you have any question want to ask, leave your question at comment section so I'm able to help you. And thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.